What is good, everybody? Very little is good, but you're watching the Instant Reaction Show on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Levin Black. And Levin, just a disaster of a day for the San Francisco 49ers. They get their asses kicked by the Cincinnati Bengals, 31-17. I have no idea where to start for the third straight week. Everybody eats crap today. This was a total team loss.
Get the construction crew out. It's over. The rendition of this team, over. I'm done. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. They're done. Period. They might make the playoffs. They might scramble enough to get into the playoffs. But this team, it needs fresh blood. It's done. You can see it by their effort. And that's the part that's inexcusable to me. The effort is not there. You see players half-assing it when trying to make a tackle. There was a play in this game. I tweeted it out. Mooney Ward, it was when Burrow scrambled on a third down. Mooney Ward comes running from the side, and he just literally, as I'm doing it on the screen, just a slight tap of trying to smack the ball, and then Olade literally jumped out of the way of Burrow while Burrow ran by because he didn't want to have a collision. I can only assume to not risk getting hurt himself. But Burrow's literally, he's not sliding. He's not going down. Mooney Ward literally took the chicken way out and avoided getting the collision. And that, to me, is like the play that I will remember. That is the problem with this team. They all started feeling themselves, and quite honestly, they all suck. And all that smack talk that they were talking, all that crap they were talking, well, guess what? You got egg on your face because it's you that were the frauds this whole time. It was you that was the bully that wanted to talk big and now can't back it up.
You certainly look like frauds right now. Chef watching on YouTube. Forgive the swear, but I'm going to say it. Most arrogant team that never won shit. This is an arrogant team.
Yeah.
They were feeling themselves big time. Fred Warner's got a podcast. Deebo Samuel's going on every week with Kay Adams. They stopped keeping the main thing. And we saw it all day, Levin. Hesitancy to tackle Joe Burrow when he was scrambling. Just lack of tackling, poor shoulder tackling, all this stuff in the first half. I mean, my God, Joe Burrow completed 19 straight passes at one point. I was just hoping we could force an incomplete pass. That's how bad it was on defense in the first half for the 49ers. Now, I will say, to their credit, in the second half, they played a little better. They still gave the team a chance to win the game, and we can get into all that. But I mean, just a pathetic effort by the 49ers this week when they really needed one going into the bye. They look like they couldn't wait to get to the bye week.
They've been on bye week for almost a month now. What are you talking about? No, this is a team, like, you could point so many fingers, and I think that's what's going to start happening. I think this team's going to break during the bye week because they're going to start, well, you're doing this and you're doing that. But you can point at the front office. This offensive line can't block for shit. And it's not just Juwan Taylor. He didn't have a terrible game. They can't run block at all. And you know that's for a fact that Kyle doesn't trust them to on the interior line because he will not run up the gut. And not only that, in the last couple of weeks, so many of their runs are these pitch plays trying to get all the way out to the edge. Not like run off the tackle. It's trying to get all the way out to the wide receiver to set the edge. And that tells you that he can't trust the interior O-line to run block at all. And so that to me is on the front office, and that's on Kyle Shanahan. You have a bunch of low drafted scrubs. You got Brindle, longtime backup. Suddenly you're trusting him, and he's not doing well. You got Burford playing horrible, and it's not like he was that good last year. Last year he was decent for a rookie, but that's it. Terrible. McKivitz is not it. And even Banks has been struggling. He's been getting pushed back a lot.
Yes, he has.
But then you go to the defensive side of the ball, it's all levels. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, quit trying to blow up everybody and make the damn tackle. Every single one of their tackles lately have been no arms. They're just trying to dive in there like a bullet and spear the player. The defensive line, I'll get to them more in a bit, but the secondary, obviously, that one is a little bit schemed, but I already talked about Mooney Ward. Mooney Ward's been getting penalties too. There's been problems in the secondary. That's the one that I kind of fall a little bit more on scheme. But the defensive line, that's the biggest culprit to me. They're not only not a difference maker, they're playing like absolute garbage. That last touchdown for Cincinnati, what happened? Bosa crashed from the outside, didn't set the edge, and let Mixon get to the outside.
Yep.
And he did that 4 times this game because I specifically watched Bosa on defensive plays to see how many times he did it because I noticed it when I saw some replays of last week. He's doing it every single time. He's crashing to the inside, not setting the edge, and that's football 101 stuff. So to me, you can point the finger in any direction and you're going to hit somebody that you can legitimately blame.
That's what I mean. We got a bunch of super chats. Let's get to some of them. Cinema Pigeon says, any and every overreaction completely fair?
There's no overreaction.
No, there is no overreaction. That's the thing. Like, if Kyle says it in the postgame press conference, I'm going to lose my mind. When is this team going to react? When are they going to actually act like the losses count, like the losses matter, right? With some urgency. Where the hell was it? Because guess what? They got owned from jump. From jump today, they got owned. They got 8 yards on the first carry of the game, couldn't get a first down. Then on the first freaking series for Cincinnati, they have an interception in their hands. They don't finish that play. 3rd and 10, they have Joe Burrow dead to rights. Not only do they not sack him, he completes it for a first down. They were owned from jump today, and it was infuriating at home in their own building against a team that couldn't do anything all year. And by the way, I'm getting real tired of this. I'm getting real tired of Team X hasn't done this all year, but they've done it 3 times against the 49ers today. Cincinnati hasn't scored on the ground all year, but they were able to do it against the 49ers today. Just a pathetic effort. And I agree with you. As high as I was on this team earlier in the year, I thought they were going to the Super Bowl after they beat the Cowboys. Guess what? I am as low on them right now. I'm in the complete inverse of that.
Yeah, this team is toast. Like, I don't see any Super Bowl is what I'm meaning. This is not a Super Bowl winning team. This team will not win a Super Bowl as constructed. There needs to be a big shakeup in the offseason. You need to change the guard because it's gotten old. It's gotten stale. You need to change things. That means maybe Kittle goes. Debo's number 1 on my list. I can't stand it. He talked so much crap, and he's still talking crap to whatever his name is now, CJ Gardner-Johnson, CD Deuce, whatever you want to call him. He's still talking crap to him. Shut the hell up. You're not even healthy and on the field. You can't back it up because you can't stay on the field. So you're the last person that should be talking crap, right? Like, he gave CJ Gardner-Johnson crap for you can't even stay on the field. He literally said that. Guess what? They entered the league in the same year. They've played the same number of games.
Debo has 1 good year. He has 1 good year. Let's just call it like it is. 1 good year. Jason PDSI says, I'm not sure this team beats the 2016 team. You're a little young.
Okay, you can have an overreaction. That one might be a little bit.
That team went 2-14. Cinema Pigeon says that September championship run meant nothing. Exactly. You can't win the Super Bowl in September. And the 49ers have told you that they thought they did, basically. Antonio says we should stop blaming Wilkes for the D-line getting 0 pressure and the defense missing tackles and Purdy sucking. It's not one thing. At least today it wasn't. It wasn't just one thing today. It was everything. And we're going to get to everything.
I want to get to Wilkes because I'll make a point on this real quick. You can say you're not blaming Wilkes, and it's not all on him. You know, when players just aren't playing as they should, they're making mental mistakes. They're not playing with heart. Yeah, some of that falls on the players. The problem is in season, there's only one change you can make. And if you want to say the team is, not giving their all, not showing heart, well, part of that is motivation. And where does motivation come? From the leader. They're clearly not motivated by Wilkes. And that's the point I want to make is that you can say it's not all on them and the players aren't making plays. And that's 100% true. But the one change you can do out of desperation to try to get something going is to change the leader and see if a new voice gets that team going again. And I think they're 100% need to do that because Wilkes' message is not being received by this team.
I mean, the days after Steve Wilkes told Grant Cohn he's both learning the offense and trying to call the offense at the same time, Joe Burrow goes 28 of 32 for 283 yards with 3 touchdowns. Like, I'm sorry. It's not all on Wilkes, like you said, but a lot of it is. And guess what? He ain't it. It ain't working. He doesn't know the offense, and we're halfway through the year.
You got to send a message. There's no message strong enough, right? Other than maybe firing Wilkes. Like, you got to make a change. Clearly, this team is not motivated by him. The scheme is questionable at best. And the team, we already saw it last week. Like, there were some very borderline criticizing him from the players, and Kyle flat out criticized him. You got to make a change. And by the way, like, one aspect we never really touched on, Kyle Shanahan calling out Wilkes publicly does, if the locker room is already starting to question him,
It's not
you
helping.
just ended it, right? If the locker room's already starting to question a coach, and the head coach then comes and says, yeah, that guy's not doing his job, you lost the ability for that guy to be the leader. It's over.
I agree. I don't know what they're going to do. They got to do something. And I don't care who they trade for, by the way, because the problem is not a lack of talent. The Niners are loaded with talent. The problem is what they are getting out of that talent. For King Crazy says, fire Wilkes. Did Kyle take over play calling D because it changed? This was bad. Offensive line, defensive line, secondary all sucked. Cinema Pigeon is back. Most epic midseason collapse in 49ers history, at least with the expectation / talent / potential. It's a disaster. Are there any positives? Jake Moody made all his kicks. That's something. You asked me for a positive. I provided one.
Yeah, at halftime, there was one real big positive, and that got torpedoed in the second half. At halftime, the only reason why this wasn't a blowout already was Brock Purdy. He had a tremendous first half.
Yes. All right, let's go to Brock.
He was making a difference with his feet. He was making all the throws. He had multiple long throws, especially to Kittle, that were phenomenal. He had a phenomenal, I would say, 3 quarters. I can't remember if the first interception came right at the start of the fourth quarter or right at the end of the third, but he essentially had 3 really, really good quarters, like about as good as you can play the quarterback position for what he was dealt. Now, that fourth quarter, I wouldn't say it's as bad as you can be because he was at least completing some passes, but it was pretty darn close. 3 turnovers. We talked right before we came on air. That last turnover, the fumble, I saw it coming. As soon as he got that ball, and I think it was Henderson was behind him, it's like, oh, Henderson's going to catch him. He's got a running start on him, and Purdy's got the ball out, out on his side, now protecting. It's like, that's a strip sack right there, and that's exactly what happened. Like, you can see it. When you can see it from the television, it's a major problem.
Brock, I thought, had his best first half. I don't care what, like, numbers wise. I just thought the way he played the game, I thought it was arguably his best first half, and he had his worst second half. Just an utter disaster in the second half for Brock Purdy. 2 fourth quarter interceptions last week, 2 more fourth quarter turnovers this week. Add in a third turnover, another interception, a backbreaker, a crusher interception from Brock Purdy when this team had everything they wanted right in front of them, right? Since he punts, Niners get the ball, and what do they start doing? And Tony Romo did a great job of pointing this out in the broadcast. Yeah, since he was going with 5 guys on the line of scrimmage defensively, and the Niners were going play action, and it was working every time. First down, play action to Ayuk, 15 yards. First down again, play action to Kittle, 7 yards. They were driving down the field, doing that on first down, and then Brock gets in the red zone, 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. And they run this RPO, which whatever, okay. And he doesn't decide early, first of all. That was his first mistake. But then
I think there was a mistake on that play because he went to do a fake handoff to nobody. Somebody was supposed to be there.
This is the thing. He doesn't know when the play is over. He doesn't know when he just needs to eat it. Take the sack, throw it away. He forces it on first down. If it's 3rd down or 4th down, okay, I could at least understand a little more. First down, he throws a horrible pick, which could have been a pick 6. He's very lucky that the guy went out of bounds. And that was, to me, that was the game at that point. That was the game. I know they forced it. And they eventually got the ball back. And then Brock, his immediate next pass was also an interception, by the way. Are we blaming the concussion? I just had to know. Because last week, all his bad plays are because of the concussion. What about this week? Is it the concussion, or can we just admit that he was awful in the second half of this game? Awful.
Yeah, he was awful in the fourth quarter. The weird thing is the offense moved.
He was awful in the third quarter, too.
Sure, I would have to look at the numbers. I don't know off the top of my head, but the offense moved the ball. They're just not finishing, and they're turning the ball over. They averaged 7.6 yards per play. They had 400 yards of offense until that final sack brought them back on. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying you got to finish, and that's the difference between being a bad offense and a good offense. Most offenses can move the ball some, but the good ones finish their drives. And the Niners aren't not only not finishing the drive, they're turning the damn ball over or missing the field goal or doing something else and they get 0 points. They literally averaged more than a yard better per play offensively than the Bengals did in this game. It's just ridiculous.
But I understand what you're saying, but I hate that people bring that up because that's not the goal. The goal is points. That's like the pressures of
right. I said it's not excused, but to me, I mean, I was going to get into it later, but that's why the offense is not as big of a concern as the defense. The defense is the biggest problem to me. The offense is a problem, but at least there's some positives there. The defense, they're getting whipped all over the place. The defense is the big problem. The offense has some glimmer of hope.
I don't see, to me, they're both a problem because I don't care that you move the ball. And we have seen this in the Shanahan era. That's what we have said forever. When it was Nick Mullins, it was the same thing. They were going up and down the field. When it was Jimmy Garoppolo, they would go up and down the field. We have seen this movie before in the Shanahan era. The problem has never been moving the ball up and down the field. They can always do that. It's scoring points. And that's why this run that they went on was so incredible, where they were scoring 30 every week, because we had never seen that before, because it was always a turnover late. It's very, very frustrating. Mr. J Fizz, YouTube channel member. By the way, if you want to become a YouTube channel member, it's less than $3 a month. Please, please, please consider it. It's a great way to support the channel. You get custom emojis, you get membership badges, you get priority comment response. There's so many comments. We got to really try and get them in because I'm sure people are waiting. Wilkes got to go. Bring in Fangio. He's the DC for the Dolphins. I don't think you're getting Vic Fangio.
You're not going to be able to bring somebody in and change midseason. It's going to be you get rid of Wilkes and somebody like Johnny Holland takes over play calling.
Warlock Swerter says, I don't see this team winning the Super Bowl yet, beating the Eagles. It's not worth trading away their future picks to lose in the playoffs. As I said, after the Browns lost, this team will go 10-7. Forget about the Eagles. Forget about the Eagles. You got to worry about the West now. You're not even in first place in your division, by the way, because Seattle won at the end of the game. Seattle is now in first place at 5-2. So forget about that's the problem with, like, I feel like all of us, we all just had our eyes focused on the playoffs. I said it when they were winning, like, please, can we skip to the NFC Championship game? Because I wanted to. I thought that's where we were. The eyes have not been on the prize, and they're not on the prize now, and they need to be.
He does bring up a good point, though. The trade deadline is this Tuesday. So they have to decide now, do we go all in and trade some picks to get what we think might fix things? And that might be enough to rejuvenate everybody. Or do we say, we're not sure this team is there and we got too many holes. We're going to save those picks so that we can actually utilize them. And if the team turns it around, we still have some glimmer of, a magical run in the playoffs.
I don't think, again, like I said earlier, I don't think it's talent. I don't think they're missing a player. I think they're missing something else. Like you talked about, they're missing the drive, the intensity, the motivation, whatever you want to call it. It's not there. And I don't know how you get it. And I thought they could avoid it because CMC hadn't really been a part of it. And Javon Hargrave, hadn't really been a part of it. And Brock Purdy obviously hadn't been a part of it. But it ain't there right now. It is not there. And I don't know how they get it back. We'll have to see. Kenny G says Purdy's a little bit better version of Jimmy Garoppolo without the game-winning drive ability. Purdy with this defense is a downgrade. Purdy is figured out. See, don't say that. And look, he was bad today in the second half. He was bad. But what have I been telling you the whole time Brock Purdy has been the starter? Just wait. Just wait. The league will figure him out, and he's going to have to adjust. I think it's pretty clear right now. The league has made the adjustment. They've made the adjustment to the offense. They've made the adjustment to Purdy. Now, I thought he started to in the first half by using his legs more. That was great. We had never seen that from Brock Purdy. He had only one game with double-digit rushing yards. Today, he had 19 rushing yards on 5 carries. He was using his legs effectively to gain first down. So I thought maybe he was starting to make that adjustment. But again, you can't turn the ball over twice in the fourth quarter, 3 times in the second half. You just can't do it.
Yeah, first off, Kenny G, love your music. 2, gotta have some humor in here. 2, I don't have a problem with him saying Purdy is figured out, as long as you're leaving the door open for Purdy to readjust. What Purdy has been doing has 100% been figured out, and the second interception demonstrated that. And Romo touched on it a little bit. The linebacker turned to make it look like he was going to go to the outside.
Yep.
And then turned at the last second and came inside to get the interception, because what has Purdy been doing? We've seen most of his interceptions have been on this play. He anticipates so heavily and so early
He has to.
that he is susceptible to somebody baiting him, somebody faking that they're doing one thing and then turning at the last second. And I think they've figured out his timing. They know the depth of route he likes. They know the general area of the field. He almost always throw, if it's 15 plus yards down the field, it's in the middle of the field. He doesn't throw deep to the sideline. So
Yeah.
I think they figured out the timing and the tendencies of Purdy, and they're baiting him. And he's not adjusted yet. Can he adjust? I have no idea. Nobody does.
Right.
Purdy doesn't even know. Purdy's going to try to, I'm sure. They're going to see that, and he's going to try. Is he actually capable of doing it? I don't know.
And that's something we all have to. No one knows. Steve Young said it. Purdy doesn't even know. We got to find out. Did I read this one already? No. Will Swan. This team is a bunch of pretenders. No discipline, poor tackling, bad quarterback play, terrible coaching. It's time to totally adjust expectations. There has to be a major adjustment over the bye week. I kept waiting for this team to show some urgency, some intensity, and it's not there. It's not there. They were at home, nothing, just nothing. It's like they just like, oh, well, we're still good. We're still good. Like, no, what you did the previous 4 years is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Nobody gives a crap. Teams are not coming in scared of the 49ers because of what you did the past 3 years. No, they're coming in, they're punching you in the face, and you just sit there and take it.
Can I also say that Shanahan needs to make an adjustment because that 5 defensive lineman front has shut down the run game. It's taken away the normal running lanes, and Kyle has not figured it out yet. He hasn't figured out a way with the personnel that he has to still be able to run the ball really efficiently. I know today they did okay, but in the first half, they were not running the ball.
No, they didn't.
That last run by McCaffrey skewed the first half. McCaffrey was under 3 yards per carry prior to that run. And then in the second half, he
wasn't. I only say that because I figured it out. So they were, let's say, 5.4 yards per carry in the first half. But if you take away that play, and they were the CMC, the 16 yards. I think they were at 4.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, but you got to take away Purdy's scrambling to see what Christian McCaffrey was at. And I believe he was under 3 yards a carry at the time. He was just under, if I remember, because I was looking at the box score right before that run. But either way, they weren't running the ball efficiently. Purdy was getting scrambles, but they weren't running the ball as they wanted. They were trying those pitch plays. It wasn't working. They are not able to run up the gut because this offensive line gets their butts handed to them every single time. They are not able to drive the defensive line back at all. Now, in the second half, they started to run the ball since he got up, and the other team was like, okay, you got to pass to win, so we're going to give you the run. They went away from that 5 defensive lineman front. That 5 defensive lineman front, I would love to see somebody compile the numbers of what the 49ers average rushing against that 5-man defensive front, because I would guarantee it is not good. And Kyle's not figured out, because it does change. When you got 5 defensive linemen, it changes where your running lanes are going to be, and it's going to make the running lanes harder. It seems like what Kyle's thought is, and yes, it sounds good on the surface of it, is, okay, you're going to have 5 defensive linemen up front. I'm going to take all of them out of the equation by pitching it and getting my running back all the way to the outside, where I'm going to trust my wide receivers to block the DBs. And the problem is it's not working. One, the offensive line is getting blown up so much, those linebackers are being able to flow over there and make the stops too. The wide receivers are also getting beat. We saw that with Juan Jennings today.
And the wide receivers have been getting beat a couple of times. And sometimes it's because they missed the block, and sometimes it's because they're basically the offensive formation makes it really hard for them to, or the defensive formation, makes it hard for them to get over to their guy in time to make the block. Andre says, run game, can't play this bad when you don't have an elite quarterback. Brock is a good backup, but you can't see the difference with him and Burrow. Pathetic. I mean, Burrow was awesome today. 19 straight completions, carved up the 49ers. Obviously, the calf is 100%, running all over the 49ers when he needed to. Purdy this is life in the NFL. Nobody takes the league, but the league adjusted to Patrick Mahomes. Now, it took a year for them to adjust when he threw 50 touchdowns. The league adjusts to everybody. This is a natural part of a player's growth. This is why going with a young quarterback, regardless of whether it was Trey Lance or Brock Purdy, was a ballsy move by the 49ers, because this was going to happen to any young quarterback the 49ers had.
Yeah, and I don't want to see anybody saying, "Oh, it's time to go to Darnold." I have seen a few of those comments. No, you play Purdy out. You see if he can adjust. If he can't adjust, you pay what it costs to get Cousins in the offseason.
He just tore his Achilles today, so that whole plan.
Assumed. I haven't seen that official, but very, very likely based on the video. But that makes him more affordable.
No, they said it was an Achilles injury after the game.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
But that makes him more affordable, you would think. But he should be ready for the start of the season because you got Rodgers talking about being able to come back at the end of the season. He was on the field for warmups and was actually running around.
I don't know what Aaron Rod crystals or whatever dolphin sounds Aaron Rodgers is using for his rehab, but it's incredible. Scott says these 3 losses showed me this team's average at best. Our playmakers are not making plays. Our defense can't defend. I don't want to see another game. Let me tell you, I'm not exactly upset that the bye week is next week because I don't want to watch another game like we saw. Kevin Jones says Jalen Moore stinks. Wilkes isn't disguising his defense. Not the defensive line's fault. They're too predictable. Rob, please respond to my freelance inquiry. I saw your inquiry, Kevin. I'll get to it in a minute. But you're right about the disguise, and you brought this up Thursday, Levin. The defense knows exactly what the 49ers are doing, and there was a perfect example of it in this game. I think it was in the first half. It was in the second half because I think the 49ers wasted a timeout on defense in the second half of this game. And they come out of the timeout, and Joe Burrow gets to the line of scrimmage, audibles, and they run a quarterback draw on 3rd and 9, and he's wide open. The Red Sea parts, and Burrow just easily scampers for a first down. To me, that is when I knew they are reading Steve Wilkes like a book. They know exactly what he's going to do.
Yep, we touched on that some last week after Kirk Cousins was changing the plays and making the hot reads and all that, and knowing at the snap where he was going with the ball for the wide open guy. That tells you that the defense is predictable, that its tendencies are extremely reliable, and thus you can build an offense to thwart it, right? That there's no disguising. It doesn't seem like, this is getting out of my depth, but it doesn't seem like there's much disguising because, like I've said before, I can tell who's coming after the quarterback and who's going back in coverage with almost perfect accuracy every single time. Even when they have blitzers come up, you can kind of tell. Like, okay, this guy's off a little bit from where he was when he blitzed last time, right? Like, there's too much predictability. I think the coverages are probably too simple, and they're playing soft every single time. And not only that, but like there was a couple plays where Lenore early in the game was playing soft, and they ran the same route at him multiple times in a row until they finally adjusted and brought him up so that they could take away I think it was a short slant run to chase back-to-back plays. Well, okay. Obviously, they can tell pre-snap, if this guy's lined up here, he's the one that's going to have soft and is going to be 10 yards off, so I can run a 5-yard slant and get it every single time. That's what we're seeing. Like, it's that easy that just by the way they line up, the opposing quarterback knows, all right, this is the wide receiver that's going to be open after 5 yards.
Shout out to Austin, new YouTube channel member. Appreciate you. Mr. J. Fizz said he wants Fangio in again. Matt Garcia. A lot of people talk about Rob looking like Woody. Not enough people talk about Levin looking like a Buzz Lightyear Chinese knockoff toy. Just kidding. Love y'all. Not going to lie. I don't really see it. If there was any hint of Buzz Lightyear with you, I would definitely call you on it. But
I don't have a huge butt for a chin, so.
Okay. I'm going to cut that up and keep that. I'm going to just make a note of that. Mike Honcho, thank you for your donation. Scott says the gig is up. Our D is easy money. He agrees with you. Glass City, the issues with this team are systemic. I said it last week, period. They need a restoration. For all the good Brock brings to the team, he has to be able to win these type of games. You have to trust your quarterback in these moments, and he hasn't. He hasn't done it. Now, he's a very small sample. He's had very few opportunities because most of the time they were blowing teams out, but it is a fact that he has not done it in close games.
Yeah, no, he definitely has not. He's had a few games, like he made the plays against the Browns and the field goal was missed.
Yep.
But that's it. Like he didn't go down and score the touchdown and end. You know what I mean?
He could have got a touchdown there.
Right. Could have got a touchdown. But the simple fact is when they're down, his numbers crater. And starting to get a large enough sample size to start to say, all right, I can't excuse that anymore. There's something real there. Something is going on.
Chris Maldonado says, we're front runners. Rob said it, and Rob was right. I did say that last week, and look how this game went, Levin, right? Exactly how the game went. 49ers come out. They go 3 and out on offense. Since he gets the ball, 10 plays, 85 yards, touchdown. 49ers never led in the game. They were always digging out of a hole, and it always felt like every time the offense got the ball, they had to score a touchdown. It never was like we could never go down and get a field goal and be like, okay, we got a field goal. It felt like you had to score every single time.
Yeah, going into that Cleveland game, I think we only trailed 1 minute and 7 seconds.
Yes, they barely.
And now they've trailed like 80 minutes in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. I think there's one super chat we've missed. So after this one, I want to bring it up, unless I missed it.
4King Crazy, YouTube channel member, says Brock's effectively in his rookie season, less than 17 starts. He's panicking because the D isn't helping him. Man. That's why we had to wait on Brock. That's why I said it. Like, he hasn't even started a full year. It's okay to wait. We don't have to declare one way or the other. Who did you think I missed in the super chat?
Did you read this one? It was right after the Buzz Lightyear one in the tendency, and then you went right to the Mike Honcho where he didn't say anything, just gave $1. So this is Theron C. I'm assuming it's Theron, but I'm not out on Purdy. But it is possible that this team is more flawed than we thought. Maybe too much for an effectively rookie quarterback, Trey or Brock.
If the defense was playing close to a level where they were at, it would be enough. But they'd not.
Be 7-1.
And Brock,
they wouldn't have won this week, but they would have won the previous 2 weeks.
Brock hasn't picked up the slack, and we had talked about before the year. This might be a year where the offense has to pick up the slack a little bit. Yeah. And the last 3 weeks, anyway, they absolutely haven't. Let's see. Cinema Pigeon says at least Ayuk's giving the 49ers a nice discount, not elite. The ball hit Brandon Ayuk in the face as the 49ers are trying to get points before the half, right? The Niners get this incredible strip as the Bengals are going in to basically put the game away. They strip the ball, they recover it. Then Brock Purdy hits George Kittle on a huge play over the middle of the field. Brock had some gorgeous throws to George Kittle over the middle today, like gorgeous, picture-perfect throws. And I'm like, holy crap, they're going to steal points at the end of the half.
Let's not forget, Kittle had 2 drops too. One of them was on 3rd and 7 and was a critical drop.
I thought there would have been a tough catch, but yeah, you're paying that guy a lot of money to make that catch.
Get your hands up earlier, and it would have looked like a much less of a tough catch.
Before the end of the first half, the Niners are driving down to try and get points, and Brock has to throw to Brandon Ayuk, and the ball hits Brandon Ayuk in the face, hits him in the face, and he drops it. And there are too many times with Brandon Ayuk where they need a big play at a crucial spot in the game, and he doesn't come down with it. And it's not just that, like, oh, the guy, the other guy always knocks it away. No, because he's good enough to get open. He just doesn't catch it. So I don't care that Brandon Ayuk went 5 for 109 today. Honestly, I don't. I'm not paying that guy after the year. No way.
I think it's a little early for that. I think you pay him and you ship Debo out and you get another wide receiver in here that's an actual wide receiver, not an offensive weapon.
Original says only elite team that lost 3 games in a row. Not it. Batman 29. We can't play defense. We can't run the ball. 2 things that are crucial to our Super Bowl runs. You're exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. Cinema Pigeon says Purdy got baited. League adapts. Mr. J Fizz, stop bashing on Purdy. It's his second year. It's not bashing on a guy to say that he was awful in the second half. It's the reality of what happened. He had 3 turnovers, 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Am I supposed to be happy about that, Mr. J Fizz? Am I not allowed to say that Brock Purdy had 3 turnovers in the second half of this game? What is the bashing?
Right. I mean, the reality is the reality. And we've both said that he needs to make an adjustment. He's got to make the adjustment back. We didn't say he can't. We didn't say he's screwed. Right. He's out of here. I flat said, give him the rest of the year. I don't want to see Darnold. I already know the answer to that one, right? But I did want to go back real quick before we move on to the rest of the super chats because we got a whole bunch, I know. But the Batman comment about how we can't play defense and we can't run the ball, the point I wanted to make on that is that's when you have to have heart. Those are the physical, got to be the bully, got to actually want to do it, want to get dirty, want to win the grimy way, so to speak, to use their own words, and they don't want to right now.
Fred Warner said last week, we are not mentally tough. He didn't say that exactly. He said, I want to see us improve our mental toughness. Well, the only reason it needs to improve is because you don't have it. And clearly right now, it doesn't look like the 49ers have it. Mike Honcho says, Victory Monday shirt arrived 3 weeks ago. Just got burned. Glad to support the pod, but it had to go. I appreciate your sacrifice, Mike. Thank you very much. Cinema Pigeon is back. Like you said, ultimate front runners. If everything goes perfectly, the Niners are the best team ever. Any hiccup and everything falls apart. That's why comebacks are rare. Are the 49ers fragile? Yes. I've described this offense at least like a clock, When all the parts are working, it is an unstoppable machine. But if even one part of it is not working at 100%, the whole thing collapses. And that's what it looks like, at least offensively. Well, both actually the past 3 weeks.
No, I think the part you're talking about and the part he's hinting at here about comebacks being rare and the 49ers are fragile, I think fragile is a really good way to put it. They are front runners, as you put it. I think that's saying the same thing.
Yep.
When they come out and they do well, they don't make mistakes, and they get a lead, they're going to wipe the floor with you. When they come out and something happens that isn't good and they get down, or they just make a critical mistake that makes it still tied, whatever it is, they just crumble. And that to me is they are fragile. They can't handle it when it gets tough. And a team that can't do that is never winning a Super Bowl, because you're guaranteed to hit at least one tough spot in the playoffs.
It's amazing to me that could be the case. They're the battle-hardened team, right? They're the team that's been through it. They should be the toughest mental team in the entire league. They should be like iron.
I've been harping on how hard it is of a mental thing to be pushing this long, to be a Super Bowl contender this long and not get over that hump. It's hard when you haven't gotten to the, to the pay dirt, Graceland, the promised land, whatever you want to call it. You haven't won the Super Bowl, but you've been so close for so long. There's never been a team that's been able to survive that for longer than 4 years, and that's what we're at. This is year 5 of doing that, right? Because they had 19, 20, 21, 22. This is year 5. The Bills didn't make a 5th straight run. The Eagles did not make a 5th straight run in the early 2000s. It's really hard to keep pushing and not start to break down and have doubt creep in, or just get tired because you're playing a longer season, right? So you get more beat up. And when you have all those players keep coming back, you can't expect them to just be able to keep it going. And I do think my huge worry, and I really don't know what team's coming out of the spy, my big worry is that they hit that point and it's broke, and it's going to stay broke. That it just hit that point where it's past its expiration and it broke apart.
I think that's the smartest thing you've ever said on the program, to be honest with you. I think it feels like that right now. And look, it can change, right?
That's really saying something, Rob. I appreciate the compliment.
I know. It can change if they come out of the bye week and they turn things around like this, maybe they can, but it sure feels like that right now when you zoom out and sort of look at the bigger picture. Glass City says part of that, Levin, is the offensive line talent, which falls on Kyle anyway. I don't think he has the talent on the O-line to be consistent. Everything needs to be adjusted. Kyle, Wilkes, player motivation, change it all. I don't know that you can change it all in 1 week, but they got to do something, fix something, right? Fix something. The pipes are leaking right now. They're leaking on offense. They're leaking on defense. Fix at least one thing.
It's like the new movie Elemental. You have a kid. You've probably seen it. I have a kid. All their pipes are busted, and there's nobody with fire sitting there able to burn it back together so that it fixes itself. This is this is a team that doesn't need a plumber. They need a whole crew of plumbers.
They need a team of professionals.
They need a wrecking ball and then rebuild. Is what
Frank Tavares says in the last 3 games, the Niners have only scored 17 points after scoring 30 or more points in multiple games. Yeah. As bad as the defensive problems have been, guess what? The offense has been bad too. And, Kyle can say, well, it's turnover based. Whatever. You haven't scored. It doesn't matter. There's I hate that whole well, it's not my fault because of this. It's not my fault. Take ownership, man. You didn't score. Who cares if there was turnovers? You didn't score regardless of what the reason was. The only thing that matters is the points on the scoreboard, and you're at 17, under 20 again.
Yeah. I don't want the Kyle press conference coming in saying, well, it's an execution issue, which is what he's done in the past with Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, it's an execution issue, which is basically saying I made the right play calls, but the players didn't execute. That's what that's saying. You know what press conference I would love to see him have? Come in and go, playoffs? We're talking about playoffs?
Right. Yeah,
that's where this team is at.
Kyle did say we need to get better in all areas. We can get to some of the post-game stuff in a minute. Let's get through some of these super chats. Carlos says Mahomes was not good today. Yeah.
He had the flu.
He wasn't good today. That happens to every quarterback.
He had the flu.
Mahomes also has 2 Super Bowl trophies in his
and multiple MVPs.
Kevin Jones says, how's Cousins going to help this team if the O-line is so porous? Yeah, they're going to have to improve both Absolutely. I think that's completely legitimate. Like, you have to invest in the offensive line. Matthew Rowley says Wilkes plays like he's ahead regardless of the score. They need to play more aggressive man and less zone. They changed after the half and played better. The defense was better in the second half, but only because you can't get much worse than they were in the first half. I mean, Joe Burrow completed 19 straight passes at one point.
They're not wrong. Like, you do need to run more man so that defensive line has a chance to get home. They just aren't up to snuff either. That's the problem. Like, there's no real win here currently because, all right, we're going to play man, which means we're a ticking time bomb if the defensive line doesn't get home because somebody's going to get beat and there's not as much help. There's not a zone where somebody else is going to be nearby.
Can run.
Right. Or the quarterback can run. The problem is the defensive line isn't getting home, and not only that, they're not containing. There was a play there towards the end of the game where the Niners blitzed. They had 6 guys going at Burrow. Burrow, 2 seconds after the snap, had a 5-yard wide gap to run through, and he ran for a first down. Literally, that's not an exaggeration. They sent 6 rushers, and it was even. Like, it was the 4 D linemen and 2 linebackers split 2 of the gaps, right? So it wasn't like they went around the outside and they, or anything like that. They had a 5-yard gap for Burrow to run through 2 seconds after the snap when they sent 6 guys. That's look, you can talk about Wilkes, and I said to me, you got to make that change because you got to do something to try to spark the team. But that's on the players, right? Like, who the hell keeps losing their contain? And I do really wonder if it is Bosa all the time because it's easy to tell when he loses contain on the edge,
right?
When it's a run play, and we saw that over and over, including that last touchdown. So I do wonder if a lot of this is on Bosa.
Knees says, does it seem like our run defense is even worse because we're going for punch outs?
Yes.
Tackles. Yes. I mean, the run defense is hideous. They run right up the middle and guys are falling forward because they're not tackling. It's pathetic. It's very frustrating right now. I just saw a comment from Kyle Shanahan in the post-game press conference that I think he nailed it on the head. And I think the people didn't want to face this at the time, but I think he's dead right. Kyle said the difference between the 5-0 start and the 3-game skid is, quote, we just made a bunch of plays to get up on people by a couple scores, and our little mistakes weren't as crucial. We've gotten away with a number of stuff on our win streak, and we haven't these last 3 weeks. Well, fix it, Kyle. That's on you, right? That is on you. And I get that, like, it's harder to drive your message home of, hey, we need to clean stuff up when you're winning. But now you haven't won in almost a month, okay? So if you can't get it fixed now, that falls on the coaching staff.
I would say that's a 50-50 split. The coaching staff has to find the right message, but also the players are professionals. Play like you're freaking talented. Play to your talent level. Play like you're being paid for a lot of these guys, right? Hey, Eric Armstead had 2 sacks. Congrats, you earned your money today. Where's Hargrave? Where's Bosa? Where's Fred Warner? Where's Mooney Ward? None of them played well, right? I will say one change that I have seen, and I wonder if it's bigger, like a bigger deal, and that's part of what the 3-game skid has been. Fred Warner was getting so much attention early in the season about how great he is and how he gets everywhere. I noticed, and it was towards the end of the game, that even on passing plays that were like short outs and things like that, there was an offensive lineman or a tight end whose assignment was get upfield, find Fred Warner, and block him. And so I wonder, taking Fred Warner out of it, he's not able to fill the holes, right? And that's getting gaps in both the pass game and the run game. It just made me wonder. It's just something I noticed on one play, so I don't know if that's the case consistently. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. That was literally an offensive line 5 yards down the field on a 5-yard out blocking Fred Warner.
That is fascinating because I don't remember ever seeing anything remotely close to that. By the way, shout out to Kaylee, new YouTube channel member. Yeah, appreciate it. By the way, if you want to become a YouTube channel member, sign up. It's less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, membership badges, priority comment response. It's a huge way to support the channel. As much as I like that previous comment that I just read from Kyle Shanahan 11, I hate this one. I hate it. Nick Bosa said Kyle Shanahan's message to the team was that the 49ers have been in this position before in each of the last 2 seasons and have been able to dig themselves out of it. Shanahan told the 49ers that they have the players in this locker room to do it again. No, I hate that message. Again, it's living in the past, right? Well, we've done it before. Don't panic. We've done it before. Your message to the team should have been, this season is going down the toilet. If we don't change now, we're going to waste everything that we have here, the opportunity that we have here. Your message to the team should have been the building is on fire and we have to put it out. Not everything is fine because we've done it before. Again, what you've done before doesn't matter. If that's really what he said, I hate that message. That's a complete wrong message to send after 3 straight losses.
First off, apologies to you, Rob, because you got a little extra work coming. But his message, and I'm going to say it as he should have said it, is you haven't won shit, so get your head out of your effing ass. That's the message. That's all. Like, I would have walked into that locker room, said, this is going to be short and sweet. You haven't won jack crap, so get your head out of your butt and walked out. Because that's it. That's 100% the problem. This team thinks they won something. They haven't won anything. What this team will be remembered as years down the road, if this is the end, is a good team that never won anything.
Yep.
They won't even be in the Philly Eagles early 2000s, which I think is the next closest team to compare them to, right? They went to 4 straight NFC championship games. They went to that one Super Bowl where McNabb famously lost his stomach on the field before they failed to make the game-winning drive. That team, I think, will be remembered in a better light than this Niners team that's been, because the Niners have the 2020 and 2020 where they didn't even make the playoffs. So it's not even up to that part. You haven't done anything of note. Even amongst the teams that were good but never got over the hump for multiple years in a row, you're not even at the top. You're not even at the second spot because you got the Bills of the 90s that are probably at the top for the best team to win multiple times, be really, really good but never quite get over the hump, right? Like, you're not even one of the best teams to get close but never win a Super Bowl. So,
and a lot of people are probably saying, what Eagles teams? And that's the point. That's what this 49ers era is going to be if they keep allowing this season to go.
I think most Niner fans remember those Eagles teams because the Super Bowl run had T.O.
Yeah, but some people don't. Like, younger people probably are like,
younger people, yeah.
We don't remember teams that don't win titles. That's it. Perfect Blackness Senior says this team isn't getting to the playoffs with Wilks as defensive coordinator. He needs to be fired. This defense shouldn't look this bad with this much talent on it. I agree. Like, they are doing less with more right now defensively. Matthew Rowley says Purdy is a lesser version of Tony Romo. He falls apart in the fourth quarter of close games. 4 picks the last 2 fourth quarters. That's hating on Brock Purdy, apparently. Can't point that out that he has 4 picks in his last 2 fourth quarters. Andre says non-elite quarterbacks need the D in the run game to play well every game. He's throwing interceptions because he's trying to do something with his arm, and he can't. P.S. Wilk's scheme is trash.
It's a good P.S., but no, look, all of that criticism is deserved right now. Purdy has to prove it. At this point, when the going gets tough, he starts throwing interceptions or fumbling the ball. And there's nothing he can do about that but change the script in the future, because that's what the script is, and nobody, no homer, nothing can change that.
Lauren Klein, I love this comment. This team desperately needs to play the Rams. Yes, we do. The Rams got their doors blown off by the Cowboys today. Cinema Pigeon says Steve Wilkes Booth assassinated the best defense. I guess we're far enough past the assassination of Abraham Lincoln that we can make jokes about it. Mr. J. Fizz says Tom Brady had a passer rating of 86.1 with almost 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 12 picks in 16 games in his first 2 seasons. Okay.
If you still think the league is the same as the early 2000s,
right? And
boy,
also,
should you read some of the rule changes that have been made.
Tom Brady, pretty sure Tom Brady immediately came in and came back to win a Super Bowl at the end, right? Let's not compare him with Brock Purdy, please. Can we shut up?
It's also not like, okay, this is the era of Patrick Mahomes having 50 touchdown passes and winning an MVP in year 1. This is the era of Justin Herbert throwing for 4,300 yards in his first year and getting 5,000 the second year and 4,700 the third year. This is the era of Andrew Luck coming in and throwing for 4,400 yards his rookie year. Like, this isn't the era of the early 2000s and before where rookies weren't capable of basically doing it. It is too easy to pass in today's NFL because wide receivers can't be touched.
I agree with you. It's totally different from when Brady first started. Antonio says, do people not realize running man puts much more stress on the corners than running zone does? And they don't really have the corners to hold up. Mooney Ward gets a friggin' PI, I feel like, every time they throw on him. I know that's not true, but that's what it feels like. Glass City says, perfectly stated, Levin. Amazing words, man. A+ buddy. How about this? Branko Mudic. Bronco.
No. I'll go back to the other one. I liked that last comment.
Yeah. Amazing words. Even a garbage can gets a steak once in a while. Branko says, funny how you two guys in 3 weeks went from how this year's roster stacks up against some great 49ers of all time to this team is falling apart. Yeah, because the information has changed, Branko. When we were talking about that, the 49ers were undefeated and were blowing people out by 2 scores every week, okay? Guess what? They've played 3 more games since then, and our information has changed, so we're changing our opinion. That's allowed. That's what anybody should do when you get new information. I can't just sit there and say, oh, this could be one of the great 49er teams of all time when they've lost 3 straight. What am I, a crazy person?
The first 5 games, that was the best first 5 games any 49ers team has ever had. It's up there for the best first 5 games any team has ever had. So it's logical to be saying what we were saying that now this is one of the most embarrassing 3-week stretches of a team that's as talented as they are that there's ever been. I really think that it's the ghost of Rob Stats Guerrera, because you attended that 5th game and now your ghost is hanging out there.
It's a poison pill. I've poisoned the team. Forking Crazy says, do you think the defense is throwing Wilkes under the bus? I don't think there are good vibes with the 49ers right now in that defense. I will say that. I think there's issues with Wilkes. I think there's issues with players in Wilkes. I think they think that they're outplaying the scheme. I don't think all is hunky-dory right now, and it shouldn't be when you've lost 3 straight. Real OBJ CDT says, I believe using Jordan Mason in the run game is crucial to open up the passing game. Without it, the other team is sitting in the middle and waiting for the pass, aka interceptions. Look, if the offensive line doesn't block, it doesn't matter if it's Christian McCaffrey or Jordan Mason. They're not going to gain any yards. And the offensive line can't block right now.
I would like to see what Mason can do. I'll say that. Like, you keep trying the same thing, right? That's the definition of insanity. It doesn't work, but I'm going to keep trying because I believe it works this time.
Frank Tavares says, the last year the team was slow to start and got better towards the end. Do you guys think it'll be somewhat the same case this year? Favorite Niners podcast. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Frank. I don't think you can count on winning 10 straight games at the end of the year or 8 out of the last 9 or something like that every year. That's really freaking hard to do. Do the Niners have the talent to do it? Yes, but sometimes talent, that's not enough. You need the ball to bounce your way, and sometimes it just doesn't. So I don't think we can sit here and say, don't worry, the Niners are going to win their next 7 games and everything's going to be fine.
Look, the best comparison I can make, and this comes from a professional at it, when you procrastinate and you're really, really talented or smart or however you want to put it, yeah, most of the time you can do well. Were there times when I didn't leave enough time for my assignment to get done back when I was in school? Yeah. That's the problem. When you push the clock to 11:59 and then decide to get all your work done in the last minute, sometimes the clock's going to strike midnight. Is that this year? I don't know. But the fact is, this team keeps doing this crap, and that's not what great teams do. They don't say, well, we're not going to take it seriously until we have to. No, that's not what they do. That's what a team does that's won multiple Super Bowls, because they know how to do it. This Niner team hasn't proven they know how to do it.
I agree. I think that's what the Chiefs are kind of going through right now.
The Chiefs are seeing the repercussions of not investing in a wide receiver ever.
Joseph Faccio says the Super Bowl window is over. Drinking to forget. I am definitely going to start drinking as soon as this podcast is over. JCG 1987. Is this Space Jam? Every level of our defense forgot how to tackle the past 3 weeks. It's like germaphobes hugging strangers out there. It literally, like, some of those Burrow runs, I've never seen that, where guys literally are like getting close to him and then they're like, well, we'll just let him go. It's stunning to me and very frustrating. And like, well, I'm sure Wilkes is looking at that like, that ain't my fault. Like, hey, I'm assuming you're going to tackle when you have the opportunity to do it. And they aren't right now. Deborah says Purdy was their best rusher with 57 yards. That's true. He led the Niners in rushing. McCaffrey had 12 carries for 54 yards. But it's okay because McCaffrey scored a touchdown, so the streak is alive. So it's okay, apparently.
Scored 2.
Yay. He's the only one that scores. Carlos M says 19-71 coming back will get us right. Right?
If it is, it's coincidence, because the problem the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks has not been them. It's not been that they're missing. I don't believe that at all. Like I said, they've been able to move the ball. They just make stupid errors before they can get points on the board. And neither one of those 2 guys play defense. And that's the other big problem.
John Bean says, if Wilkes is going to be fired, when will we most likely hear about it? Pretty soon, I would imagine, because you want to get the new guy in there. You want to get, you want to, for lack of a better word, once you decide what you want to do with the rest of your life, you want the rest of your life to begin as soon as possible.
You also don't want to have a guy leading the bye week and trying to make all these changes,
right?
And trying to send messages to the team, and then a week into the after the bye when you're starting your actual game prep, you go, never mind, that guy's out. Forget everything you heard for the last week. Now this guy's in control.
Right. Yeah, that's not good. Matthew Rowley says running man is hard for the corners, but it plays into the biggest strength, the D line. Our sacks go up, which helps the run D as teams will be in long yardage. Yeah, except they're not getting sacks. They are not getting sacks. I know they had 2 today, but they just aren't on the season. Nick Bosa has Grant had a tweet, I think, before the game. It was like Nick Bosa has 2.5 sacks going all the way back to the last 12 games that he's been in. Just something that's completely unacceptable. 3.5 sacks in his past 12 games, including the playoffs. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable from him. You have to get more than that. Forget pressures. Forget quarterback hits. You can pressure a quarterback and hit a quarterback every play, and they can complete every pass for a touchdown. Sacks are the difference.
No, you're 100% right. And John Chapman tweeted out, I don't know for sure, but he said that Bosa wasn't getting double teamed nearly as much as he used to, and he's still not winning the one-on-ones. So that's something that, I'm going to wait for the people that are better than me. I'll watch the game again, and a lot of that you can kind of diagnose. Is he being double teamed anymore on your own? But the simple fact is, Bosa is not doing enough. He got double teamed at the highest rate in the league over the last 3 years. So it's nothing new if he's getting double teamed a lot, and he's not being a difference maker. By the way, Eric Armstead has as many sacks as Nick Bosa on the season.
Eric Armstead, feel free to do anything.
At 2.5.
No sacks from Armstead last year in the regular season. Josh Dubois says the Niners have 44 points in the past 11 quarters since scoring 42 in a game against the Cowboys. Every part of this team right now is broken. It's just not functioning anywhere close to where they were earlier this season or last year. And it's amazing that it all has got it's almost like, during the winning streak, it was okay, we can't run the ball, but Purdy had a good game. Or the offense wasn't great, but the defense got turnovers and put him in a good position. Like Kyle said, there was always something to mitigate the struggles that they were having, and they were winning. Now, that's not the case. Everything is broken down right now.
Yeah, and I do want to throw this up. I don't agree with the bust Trey Lance. We don't know that yet. But they wasted 3 premium picks. I want to touch on that because maybe that's why the offensive line sucks. Right? That's why they couldn't address it. That's why they couldn't get another corner.
They could have addressed it. They could have drafted an offensive tackle this year. They didn't. They chose not to.
Yeah, but if you draft one in the 3rd round, which is their earliest pick, are you really expecting them to come in and start year 1? No.
You can't win if you don't play, right? Isn't that the old motto for the lottery? I can't hit on a draft pick if I don't.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They should have drafted people and taken some rolls of the dice. But the fact is, investing mid-round picks in the position isn't likely to solve the problem, right?
Oh, it's certainly lower than a first-round pick, you would think. Lower probability. Real OBJ CDT says stats. Mason leads the team in yards per carry. He's a great rusher down the middle. You need to keep the opposing defense guessing. You can't just use CMC all the time. I get it. I would like to see other guys mixed in too, and I've said that. But if there's no running back on the planet except for maybe Barry Sanders back in the day, where if the offensive line doesn't block, they can gain yards. If the offensive line doesn't block, if Aaron Banks continues to get shoved into the backfield 6 yards on running plays like he has in the past, you're not going to gain yards, whether it's CMC or Jordan Mason. But I agree. I'd like to see Mason get more touches. I'm with you there. But I think it depends more on the offensive line than the running back is all I'm saying.
It is interesting how bad, because Banks started out the season well.
Yes.
He was doing well. Now he's getting driven back all the time. I do wonder if there's an injury there that they've never let the light of day see, because he does wear a knee brace. There is a sleeve on his knee. I wonder if he's got something where he's not able to really hold his ground as well. And if that's the case, okay, get him out of there. Let him heal up, because what he's doing is not good, right? So you don't keep playing a guy just because he's your starter when he's not doing well because of an injury. But it does make me wonder if that's what's going on with him, because it is a very sharp and clear decline.
Matthew says we aren't getting sacks because we're playing soft zone, allowing 5 to 7 yard quick passes. Both of those sacks today were in man coverage. No, we've said that. We have said that they have not married the coverage with the pass rush.
Shanahan has said that.
Right. I think we agree. By the way, I don't like this comment. David Lombardi. Fred Warner says, Brock Purdy is the reason we have a chance to win games. The defense is the reason the Niners have lost 3 straight. Guarantees that unit will fix its issues. What are you waiting for, Fred? Huh? If you could have fixed your issues, you would have fixed your issues. Don't tell me you're guaranteeing you're going to fix it. Don't tell me about the labor pains. Show me the baby. Talk is so cheap with this team. My God, they love to talk. They love to tell you all the things they're going to do. How about you shut up and go do it, for God's sakes?
Yeah. He should have said, we're on to the bye week. We're on to the bye week. And that should have been the press conferences. Just to repeat, we're on to the bye week. Pull something from Bill Belichick, except for there's no actual opponent. Like, there's not really anything. Like, what do you want him to say? Like, I don't feel like there's anything they can't say. Hey, we're going to fix it. No, you would have fixed it. It's 3 weeks in a row, right? You can't just say, hey, we're going to fix it.
Brock Purdy, there's a shot of Brock Purdy that Kate Rooney tweeted out. Hey, Brock said, to have a loss like that, it hurts. I think all of us are really hungry for the second half. He looks like he's about to burst into tears, which he should with his performance in the second half of this game. But he used the word hungry, Levin. We've been talking about it all show. This team is not hungry. There is no hunger there. This team is fat and happy.
Yes, and I don't understand why, because like we said, they haven't done anything. They have not done a single thing of note historically, period. There's nothing this team has accomplished in all of the years with Shanahan that people will remember them for 20 years from now, period. People will not remember, other than, us diehard Niner fans, what this team was 20 years from now.
Bender Rodriguez watching on Twitch. Shout out to everybody on Twitch, by the way. Love my Twitch supporters. Levin hates them. He's a Twitch hater. We all know it. Bender says, what should they say after the game? If they say nothing after the game, Rod would be trashing him for not talking. Everybody always says this when I criticize post-game comments. What do you want them to say? You know what I want them to say? It doesn't matter what I say in the post-game press conference. We got to go do it. That's what you say. That's what you say. Don't tell me how good you're going to be. Be good, actually, in real life. Man, people defend this team sometimes when I think they don't deserve defense. You don't have to defend the team all the time when you're a fan.
No, and I mean, when somebody plays like crap, call crap for crap, right? Don't try to pretend like it's roses.
Matthew Rowley says, how the hell is this the first time I've ever found the show? Y'all are really good. Just subscribe. Yeah, Matthew. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Like and subscribe to the Gold Standard Network YouTube channel, please. If you hit the little bell, you'll be notified when we go live, and we are live every single weekday on the show. Oh, God, I can't believe we lost 3 straight games going to the bye. I can't believe they started out 5-0 and just completely blew all of that goodwill that they built up over the first 5 weeks of the year.
Yeah, this is the worst they've looked going into a bye week in years.
12 says whiners are trash with the trash can emoji. You always got to have the trash can emoji after the word trash, I feel like.
Sure.
Bender says they need young, cheap talent. Draft is key. Well, they need something. I think that the talent is not the issue. Whether they make a move at the deadline or not, it's systemic. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than any one person they can add.
It's an attitude problem.
I agree. I think it's, oh God. How about this comment? Switching from YouTube to Twitch in spite of Levin. Take that.
Do you get paid from Twitch?
Yes. Armando says, Rob, your next game should be against the Cardinals. Come to Arizona. Go Niners. Maybe I need to go again. Maybe I need to show up again. Maybe that's the key.
Sure. Whatever works, right? Worst case scenario, you're only out like $1,500. No problem.
Right. Sure. By the way, on that first interception that Brock had at the goal line, Shanahan said that they did botch the option, and Brock basically tried to improvise it. It just went wrong. How about this?
No. Let me finish that.
Okay.
If you have a botched option where it's a screen pass, a quarterback should know, all right, I don't throw the ball then. I just run and get whatever I can. Because if it's a botched screen pass, you're going to have linemen down the field. So you got to run. So that's still on Brock to have made that throw.
Fred Warner, again, second straight week. Quote, we haven't shown that we can play from behind and come back and win a football game. Now I think it's in their heads, Levin. Now I think I'm almost wondering if they themselves don't believe it, because this is the second straight week he's talked about it. He said last week we are not mentally tough, right? Now he just flat out said it. We can't play from behind. We can't come back. Now I think it's in their heads. What's that stat we heard all week? How the Niners are 0 for 36 when down 8 or more points in the fourth quarter, right? I think it's in their heads now. Now I think this is an even bigger problem.
I don't disagree. Like, it's got to be in your head at this point. You've had how many years of not being able to do it, right?
Now I think it's, oh my God, we didn't score on the first drive of the game. They went down and scored a touchdown. Here we go again. Oh my God, it's the quicksand that they used to put other teams in. And now they're in the quicksand.
Yeah. I hate to do this to you, Rob, but I actually have to go. I got something going on. So
okay. No worries. Thank you for everything. Let me take care of it. Don't end the stream, okay? Like you did last time.
Just take me off and I'll leave my computer open.
All right. That's Levin Black. Thanks so much to Levin. Ray Lee says, torn Achilles, Kirk will be a Niner next season. Yeah, that's unfortunate for Kirk, obviously. I don't think we know anything when it comes to the quarterback for the 49ers after the year. I don't think we know. I don't think Brock's spot is assured. I think everything is on the table for the 49ers. So we will see. But obviously a very, very disappointing end to this game. Very, very disappointing. Almost month of football now from the 49ers. If you had told me when I was walking out of Levi's Stadium after they blew the doors off the Dallas Cowboys that they wouldn't win a game since then, going into the bye, I never would have believed you. Cleveland with PJ Walker, Minnesota, and Cincinnati. And they didn't win a single game, and they didn't score more than 17 points in any of those 3 games. I never would have believed that was even possible. And that's where we are right now. This is a terrible way to go into the bye week. Jan says, it's all your fault, Rob. But that's not helping me. Ben Richards says, yo, Rob, got new subs. Yeah. Appreciate everybody. All the subscribers, all the support. Before I wrap it up, I should just say thank you to everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We just hit 1 million views on the channel this past week. That's incredible. We only started this channel in January after I got laid off out of the blue by SB Nation. Your support has been unbelievable. I see you all in the chat. I see the views. Same people show up. New people show up. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is literally my dream job. It has been the only thing I have ever wanted to do my entire life. You allow me to do that, and I will never be able to fully repay you for that, ever. So just from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you. I know they lost today, and it sucks, but I just want to thank everybody here because your support has been incredible to me. And the fact that I can do this for a living is only because of you. So just thank you, and thank you to my incredible team, Michelle, Levin, Steph Sanchez, Jason Aponte, Grant, Vish Kumar, and everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We got a couple more super chats here that I want to get to because if you give a super chat, I want to make sure I read it. This one comes from Joey. Says, I don't want to hear nobody's side podcast. Do your first job. Niners are 0-30 when down by 5+ in the fourth under Shanahan. I don't want to hear nobody's side podcast. I don't know what that means, but yeah, the fourth quarter thing, that's going to be a thing now. I officially think that is a thing, and it is in their heads, and that sucks. Joseph says, are we hoping for a Jim Harbaugh reunion? Yeah, Harbaugh's got his own problems right now. I don't want to see Kyle Shanahan fired. I've never wanted to see Kyle Shanahan fired. Are there problems on this team? Yes. Are they fixable? I don't know. We're going to find out. But I'm still behind Shanahan, but they have problems to fix. And I think we can acknowledge both of those things. It's not Shanahan's great, everything's great all the time, or fire Kyle Shanahan, he stinks. It's there are problems. Let's identify them. Let's fix them. And the bye week is a perfect time to do it. And we'll see if the 49ers can do it. That's a wrap on this edition of the Instant Reaction Podcast. Thank you again, everybody. We really appreciate it. Again, rate, review, follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your pods. Leave us a 5-star rating and a review. It's such a great way to support the show. It helps us move up the charts so more people can see us and become aware of us. And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Become a YouTube channel member for less than $3 a month. Thank you to everybody. It sucks that the Niners lost and that the Seahawks won and that the Eagles won. 5-3 going into the bye week. Got a lot of work to do. Have a good Sunday, everybody.